and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, knitting bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about my finished Kevat sweater. It is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I loved knitting this. I made a lot of modifications, so we're going to talk all about it. I'm also going to share with you my final thoughts on knitting with Brooklyn Tweed's newest yarn, Imbue Sport. I also have cast on for a new test knit. This is the second time I've cast on for this particular sweater. I was really struggling with my yarn choice, and we're going to talk all about that. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's go. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is the Kevat. It is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I heavily modified this one, which I don't actually normally do. I feel like a lot of her patterns, I just follow the pattern and go on my merry way, sometimes change the needle size. But for this, I really wanted to customize it in a way that I knew I'd wear it a lot. And so let's talk about that. So originally, first of all, the name Kevat means spring in Finnish, which I thought was very cute. This particular sweater has color work and cables and lace motifs, and it's really a fun knit. I really enjoyed knitting this quite a bit. I feel like it took no time at all to actually get it off the needles. I did something that I don't normally do. So typically in Caitlin Hunter's patterns, I typically knit a size 3, which gives me a considerable amount of positive ease. Had I followed the directions on this one, I believe the recommended positive ease is like 8 inches or 6 to 8 inches, something like that. And for this one, I knew I wanted it closer fitting to the body, which if you've been around that long, you're gonna know that's not typically my go-to. But I felt like for the style, I wanted it to be just a little like cute little tee. So I ended up sizing down. So I wanna say that the positive ease is not quite what she recommended. I also went up a needle size, which I typically do on her patterns. I believe I knit this with a size US 5, and I believe her recommended main needle is a 4. So I did go up a needle size. I felt like it fit the yarn best, which is also why I decided to size down. So about some of the modifications. So I added beads on this sweater, and all of the beads represent what would be a bauble. And I chose not to do baubles. I know some people really like them, and I don't love them. I actually really do want to knit another one of her patterns, the Halo sweater, and I think my only hesitation has been baubles, but I think maybe I'll do something different. I don't know. But for this one, it has a lot of baubles up top, and then baubles here. The only place that I did not do beading, at the end of the pattern, there was a bauble section kind of at the end of these little like bead lace areas. So I chose not to do that. I really do like how this fits. I ended up lengthening the sweater. So the original pattern has you do 3 of these. So it would have been quite cropped on me, and it just is not, cropped sweaters are not my thing. So I knew I was going to lengthen it, and I ended up doing 2 more repeats to make it a little bit longer. I think there's an instruction that says to make it cropped, you do 3 repeats, and if you want it longer, you add 1 more, and I decided to go 1 more. Part of my decision there was looking at other projects on Ravelry and seeing where people decided to stop with their lace patterns and how it was fitting their bodies to help me better imagine what I thought I was going to do. And then when I was knitting it, I tried it on several times when I was getting closer to trying to make that decision, like 1 more repeat, or should I just stop here? Like, what was I doing? So that helped a lot, I think, getting the fit that I wanted. The thing that I did consider, which I didn't do, was lengthening the sleeves. Had I decided to do that, what I would have done was probably do a lace repeat from the body to the sleeve, and I would have had to figure out how many repeats I could fit within my sleeve circumference and whether or not I would have had to add or decrease stitches. I chose not to do that because after trying it on several times, I was like, oh, this is kind of a cute fit. I don't think I want to change how it is. And so I just added the recommended ribbing, and I think it looks nice. Now, I do think having this lace pattern in the body is really nice. Part of me was going to skip it. I'm really glad I didn't because I do think it adds a nice look to the sweater. I also think that it makes it more fun to knit. Like you can see, oh, I only have this many more rows in this repeat, and I only have, so it makes it feel much like stripes, like, oh, you just have to get to this thing and then you're doing the next one again. So it made it feel a little bit faster of a knit, I think, to me. So that helped a lot. Since I didn't do the bobbles, I did have a little bit of a funny, on the hem, I had a little dilemma, like what should I do there instead? What I chose to do was make purl bumps instead of a bobble. You really can't tell, I think, at all. I don't really think it's as noticeable. I'll try and show you. I don't even know since I can't see that great on my camera. But there's purl bumps instead, and it's like a 4 kind of clovery thing. And I think that's fine. You could have just skipped it, I think. I think I could have just done ribbing and just not worried about it because you really can't tell. It kind of looks like the ribbing is like an inch or so long. Without that little detail, I didn't want the beads just because I felt like they would be like hanging down there. So I'm happy with how it turned out. As far as the Brooklyn tweed yarn, I like it a lot. So this is a sport weight. This sweater dried really quickly after I blocked it. I felt like that was really nice. I do think, so I love this yarn. I think I would knit everything with it. I really, really do like it a lot. I think if I were to make this sweater again or a more summery garment and plan on wearing it in the summer, I think I'll wear this almost vest-like with maybe colored shirts and different things. So I'm not really concerned about this one, but I do think if I were to make this pattern again and do anything at all different, I might choose a yarn that has a little bit of silk or a little bit of a drapey content, if you will. This doesn't have a ton of drape, but it also it's not stiff. Like, because it is sport weight, it has a nice loftiness to it and lightness to it. And also because it is not super form-fitting, it does drape a little bit nicely. But I was, as I was knitting it, thinking like, oh, I hope this is gonna drape nicely, because I'm sure if you have knit a sweater, but especially before you block a kind of a woolly yarn, it's very soft. It has like 20.5 micron merino wool. But as I was knitting it, I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't just kind of like sit. I want it to be a little drapey, and I do feel like it has a little drape. It certainly could have more. I don't think it needs it, but I really like how this turned out. So to do beads, I will kind of quickly explain how I like to add my beads, especially in this pattern. I overbought on beads because I'm always afraid of running out. So I really only needed, I think, 1 container of Toho size 6 beads, and I used a gray with like a gold interior, which it mostly comes off gold in the camera, but it is actually kind of a gray bead with like a gold core. I take the stitch, and the stitch that was going to have the bobble, I just knit it like normal, and then I used a crochet hook and slid a bead onto that stitch. And then when I came back around the next row, I knit it through the back loop to like anchor and pop that stitch forward. And that is all I do to add beads. It's very simple. And I do recommend getting a like 1mm crochet hook. I don't know US size what that would be, but very tiny, teeny tiny. I also think that there are some, if it's not like a crochet hook, there's almost like a dreadlock hook if you look it up on Amazon. And they're just tiny, tiny, tiny like crochet hooks, and those work well for beads if you're worried about the crochet hook shaft being too thick. So those are options. When you use one that's too small, you do have to worry about splitting your yarn, so just something to keep in mind. Overall, I love this knit. I think it turned out well. I would definitely knit it again. I love the colors. So the color work is done in Spincycle. They're Mizuzu color. Thank you so much. I had sent them a message on Instagram. I'm like, I have no idea how I'm pronouncing this or if it's right. So they messaged me a voice note back and they said it was Mizuzu. So that is what that color is. I really like it. It's more of a tonal rather than they're color changing. So within the family of like mauve, burgundy, it just lightly goes between those. And I think it's really stunning. I think if I were to knit another sweater again, that I would definitely use it for color work because it adds just a slight difference. Very soft. I think if you had like a flowery or like, I think the sweater is like drawing flowers or the drawing sweater has a bunch of flowers. I think it would be really pretty as like the subtle fade. So that's the yarns that I used. If you have any more questions that I didn't cover, please let me know. But again, highly, highly, highly recommend. I had plenty of yarn for my size. Like the yarn amount was great. I think I might have bought enough for a size 3, and since I made the size 2 but made it longer, I had plenty of yarn. So yeah, that's my Kevat by Caitlin Hunter and Brooklyn Tweed and Butte. I really, really like it. I think it blacked out really lovely. And yeah, I've worn it already around. I'm already happy that it's in my wardrobe. I will say it is a little bit of a funny sweater for me because I'm in Portland. And so our weather is, especially in the spring, is cold in the morning. It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll pop in the Celsius while I'm talking about this. But it's 40s in the morning and then it goes up to 60, 70 during the day. And so you have a big swing of temperature. I probably wouldn't wear this above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it would be too warm. But in the mornings, I just have like a store-bought cardigan I threw over it and it was great. I think it's really cute. It has a little bit of interest and so it's nice. I also think if you work in an office or you want this for like a professional setting, it's a really nice sweater for that. Okay, so the Kevat by Caitlin Hunter. Also real quickly, since we're talking about it, Brooklyn Tweed and Butte Sport. Brooklyn Tweed is hosting a knit along on their website and Instagram. So if you're more interested in information about that, it runs from April 17th to May 31st. And I will post the link below so you can join their cal if you want. Beyond making this and finishing this, I have been mostly focusing on a test knit. I'm trying to think. Yeah, let's talk about the test knit first. I'm really excited to be able to test this sweater. The pattern is called Pyramid Light, and it is a design by Cristina of, I think it's Minimi Design, Knitwear Designs, or Minimi? I'll figure it out. Okay, so she has several pyramid patterns on Ravelry right now. There's like a winter version, a cardigan, a heavyweight tee, and this pattern that I'm testing is called the Pyramid Light, and it is using, or she used, Barocco Remix Light, and it's an interesting yarn, but I decided I wasn't going to use that yarn. There's actually a yarn store that's near me, and I went and looked at it and thought, because I typically like darker things, which isn't going to make sense in a minute, but go with me on this journey. I thought, oh, I'm probably not going to use it. I actually have picked it up many times, and I really think Knit Up, this yarn, is like crazy amazing. It really looks beautiful, but I just wasn't connecting with it for this project. And in my mind, I had seen an Instagram post from a local yarn store that they had gotten in this yarn called Noro Completo, and this is the color 1. And if you look at it, it's like a tweedy yarn and it has all kinds of colors. This one is like a light gray. I think their color 3 is a little bit more of a whitish base, where this one has kind of a little bit of a gray base and a lot of pretty colors. And so I swatched, and I was really proud that I was like on the ball with this one, like properly making sure I weighed everything, like all the things. But here's the issue. My row gauge is so tight. I don't know if I was watching like an intense show while I was knitting this or something, but when I went to measure my row gauge, there's no chance it's gonna work the way that I'm doing it. So I'm gonna either have to, even though I got gauge with the swatch, I might have to go up a needle size, but it's just not turning out how I had imagined. I mean, color-wise it is, but the yarn needle combo, not happening. And I felt really frustrated with it, and so I went through my stash. Also, I think because she updated the yarn amounts, I think I would need to go buy another ball of this yarn, which I can get it in the same lot number, but it is going to be different. So while I was putting that on hold, I really still wanted to continue on with the test. So I went up a needle size and I cast on using Treehouse Knits Sierra Sport. It's 100% merino wool, 328 yards and 100 grams. And this is the color Hummingbird. It is this bright. It really is like such a fun color. And so I decided to use this. And I probably will go back to the other yarn. I think I have some ideas for it and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's continue on this journey of the Pyramid Light. Okay, so I've made quite a bit of progress. I actually knit my little heart out last night and I almost really, I think I have one more row before I can split for sleeves, but I ran out of my knitting time. So this is actually how it's gonna be. Probably really difficult to show you this, but we're gonna try our best. So the way this works, and I'll also pop up a picture of like her regular pyramid sweater so you can kind of see where this is going. It's gonna be a tee. The sleeves are in stockinette stitch, and then it's reverse stockinette with a slip stitch down the front. And I really think that this color is gonna be, like I matched my nail polish look. It's gonna be really nice. And I think because it's not like super tight fitting to the body, or at least the size I'm knitting, I don't think will be, I am going to be fine with it being 100% wool. I also think it being a tee, it's gonna be something that I can wear underneath stuff. So I'm not so concerned that it's wool. I think also being a super wash wool, it's not gonna feel as warm, I don't think. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but it doesn't feel like as warm as this feels. This also has lace where this doesn't, but I think if this is not hugging the body too tightly, it will be just fine. So I switched to this yarn. I'm really liking how this is turning out. I think this is a beautiful use for this yarn. I had originally purchased it last summer for Jessie May's mini mock neck tank, and I was just struggling with that pattern, and so I just think this is a better use for me. I think a tee over a tank top might be better. I don't know. Or at least a looser fitting garment. I mean, this feels very tight to me and it's not. So that's just kind of how I am. So this is the Pyramid Light, and the interesting thing, this is the outside of the sweater. You actually knit it inside out. So that being said, I don't think it's a negative, but I will say in my mind, I thought this would go a little bit faster, but the way that the lines work is it actually has stockinette for your shoulders, and the lines kind of come out like this. And so the front panel is on the inside, the part that you're knitting stockinette. So this part on your shoulder then is the reverse stockinette, so you're purling. So it's been a lot more purling than I guess initially I had thought. However, because you're doing it inside out, once you get to the body, this thing is gonna fly. So I'm almost there, and I don't anticipate the rest of this taking that long. And it's a tee, so the sleeves are gonna be pretty much non-existent, and it's gonna go by quickly. So that's where I'm at with this. And I think, I wanna say this pattern will be out towards summer. I know it's not super specific, but from what I recall, it, I believe, is like an 8-week test. And so I'm guessing 6-7 weeks from now, summertime, it will be out. But she does have other patterns similar, and she also has a really cute tank if you really like knit tanks. It's basically this portion of the sweater without sleeves, and it's really cool. So definitely go check that out. What else can I say about this? I think that's it for now. As far as the written pattern is so clear. It's very easy to understand. She has tutorials linked. So when this pattern comes out, it's going to be really amazing to knit and very easy to understand. I really prefer when patterns have maybe something unique that they have a tutorial to make it even easier to understand and follow and know exactly what that designer was meaning, because you can see them actually doing it. And that to me helps so much. So keep an eye out for the Pyramid Light. You can check out her website and sign up for her newsletter, and that will keep you updated, and also follow her on Instagram for updates on this pattern coming out. And it's so funny because I've only been using one skein of yarn. I've been carrying it around in this teeny tiny bag. I'm about to have to like transfer, but it's really nice having these smaller summer products for like a tiny bag to throw in your purse. And because it is a simple pattern with easy to memorize increases, etc., I don't really need to carry anything else with me. Let's talk what I'm gonna do with the other yarn. So for the Noro Completo, I am going to figure out what I want to do. I don't think I will make a second tee with this. I was gonna totally rip this out when I was going to switch yarns, and I thought, well, let me just set it aside. There's no real need for that. And so I left this partially so I can see it knit again, and really make sure that if I'm gonna rip it out, like I really don't wanna make that tee with this. But I've been kind of looking through patterns and looking for something else. So what I came across was the Cloud Top by Petite Knit. This is a brand new pattern by her. She has the cloud sweater, and this one is a tank top, which I know I just said I don't normally wear those, but this one has positive ease. It's like a loose fitting tank top. Such a subtle difference. Makes all the difference to me. So it is, I think, a like 2-inch positive ease. So it's not a lot, but it's a little bit there instead of it being negative ease, which is what I typically don't like. So this pattern by Petite Knit, I do think I have plenty of yarn as is without buying any more to make that top. And so I think I'm gonna probably do that. And I'm really, again, this yarn is so fun. I really want to use it. It is colorful. And knitting with it is great. So one cool thing about this yarn, it is 30% silk, 30% nylon, 30% cotton. I think I can put, if I'm wrong, on screen. But the cool thing about this yarn, when I went to wash it and block it, the yarn kind of bloomed and like softened in a really interesting way to me. Like, I think if you made a sweatshirt out of this, like a summer kind of sweatshirt, it would be so nice. It's like a single ply yarn. And so I think that also adds to the softness when you knit it up. But it really is cool. I really just want to like get a bunch more. It's just so amazing. So that is kind of my little story with this yarn. I think my future plans with it, and that's probably going to be a soon cast on is my guess. Because as the summer approaches, I really think that I want to knit a few things to wear at a Flock Fiber Festival, which is going to be in August. So I'm gonna want some warmer weather, new things to wear, new tops. That was my kind of plan for the Noro Completo. And again, that was color 1. And I would just check your local yarn stores for that. And I will link mine below if you can't find it. You can check out their website. Okay, let's do a quick update on the Anchor summer shirt that I started. I really still want to make this pattern. I don't think this yarn is working wonders for it, but thankfully since the last podcast, the sweater that I had been talking about from Jenny of Sweater Freak has been published. So let me share that with you. Okay, so the sweater Bellini pullover from Sweater Freak, Jenny, has been published. And this is a worsted weight sweater. It is knit top down, and you are knitting front and back and then joining in the round for the body, and then doing joining in the round for the sleeves. So it's a drop shoulder sweater, and I loved the tester, Shirley, that made it in this yarn. So I plan on using this yarn for that sweater, I believe. And I think it'll be a nice transitional sweater. It'll be good for either in the evenings in the summer, springtime, during the day, because this has no wool content, and it's going to be, I think, make a really lovely like one color version of that. So I am excited to cast that on and kind of use this yarn in a better way, something that I think I will wear a little more. And as far as the anchor summer shirt goes, I do think I still want to make that. I think I'm going to make it out of Illimani Sabri 2 in black, because why not? I know it will get a lot of wear, and I think it'll just kind of work better for that pattern and for me. So that's kind of the update on the kind of non-existent anchor summer shirt, but that's kind of my plan for this yarn. And I'm really excited to cast that on and be able to wear it because this yarn is really special to me, and I do want to make good use of it in something that I really will want to wear all the time. In kind of yarn news, it's going to be local yarn shop day on April 27th, so next Saturday. If you're in the Portland area, do you have plans? Where are you gonna be? Let's meet up. I would love to meet up with you if you want, so just shoot me a message and let me know where you're gonna be around town. I probably will stop by at least Starlight Knitting Society and Ritual Dyes. The rest of my knitting, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't have too many other projects that I'm actively working on. I do think that I'm gonna be casting on a few more tops, and one, they're really easy and quick to knit, so I feel like very productive while choosing those items, as well as that really making sense for a garment that I'm gonna be wearing soon. So I think I am going to be keeping an eye out for some other patterns that I really want to cast on in the near future. On a personal note, I have been working on balloons. So if you've been following me for any amount of time, when my kids have a birthday, I will make a giant balloon installation in our hallway / staircase just to celebrate them, and they get to pick out the colors, and then it's like magic on their birthday. It just is there. So I did that for my youngest, and he chose rainbows, and it was really fun to create kind of this big colorful rainbow in the house, and it was really fun. So I'm gonna share a couple of pictures with that if I haven't already while I was talking. And then I've just been knitting my little heart out on this test knit. I feel like I could probably get it done by next time. Maybe, maybe not. Famous last words. Maybe I'll cast something new on. Who knows? I also had a quick question for you all. Are you interested in exploring some new patterns with me? Are you interested in me doing a video of like top summer spring knits that I am looking forward to making, just so you can find it all in one place? If that would be helpful to you, make sure to leave a comment in the below the description of this video. That is kind of all the knitting that I have been doing lately. If we are not yet knitting besties, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until 2 weeks from now, make some yarn magic. Bye!